I'm Jack Ricciuto, and I'm a collaboration designer based here in Cleveland, Ohio in the Great Lakes region. And I'm talking today about the power of networks and building networks in communities and organizations. Basically, what we're seeing around the country and around the world are two kinds of organizations and communities. And they're the kind I call stuck and thriving. And one of the core differences between the two is that in stuck communities and stuck organizations, everyone is doing their best, but in disconnected and isolated and fragmented ways. People are trying to do everything well, but not necessarily together. In thriving communities and organizations, the opposite occurs. We see everybody doing their best, but they're doing together what they can't do alone, apart, or in opposition. Networks exist both in organizations and communities. They're not always obvious, but a network is basically the connections among people. And so the idea here is that all of us on the planet are connected to each other through probably somewhere between a half a dozen and a dozen steps, that I know you and you know someone who knows someone else. And it's through these finite numbers of steps that connects us all together. And we're starting to look at communities as networks, and we're starting to look at organizations as networks. But the reason why we're doing that is because when we look at how things are connected, it allows us to leverage the connections to build the collaborations that drive the innovation. The biggest thing in building networks that we're seeing today is the development of what we call network weavers. And so the building and the weaving, what we call weaving of networks, is significant because it's looking at people coming together who don't normally come together before. And the power of that is that the chemistry of diverse people coming together almost guarantees diverse ideas and also the potential of more energy. And the energy is what causes the action to occur. A weak network has so many different causes and aspects. If you look inside organizations, the fact that people feel that they have to have permission to talk to other people makes the network very weak that could otherwise be strong and vibrant and growing innovations. Another thing that weakens networks is people's assumptions about the others. Is that, well, we're healthcare. Why would we need to talk to social media people, right? That's a different business. We're education. Why should we be talking to farmers? Okay, and so the assumptions about the untested assumptions get in the way, and that's the whole idea of stereotyping. And I think a third thing that makes networks weak is the fact that they're not having the right conversations. They're talking about problems, deficiencies, needs, blame, and they're not talking about possibilities and assets and coming together and doing together what they can't do alone, apart, or in opposition. So again, the network weaver, one of her job or his job is to help bring people together and then help them make those connections through new conversations. Weavers help make these connections, like for example in the food spaces and food communities. It's creating new collaborations, new connections between restaurants and growers and suppliers and vendors and transporters. So when you weave that network together, they can do together what they can never do alone, apart, or in opposition. Innovation is surprising the imagination of the market. So Facebook waking up one day saying, oh my gosh, 20 minutes ago we were two kids having fun in our dorm room connecting people, and now we're the platform for the overthrow of one of the oldest civilizations in the history of humankind. So we're in an enormous period of exploring the possibilities of innovation through collaborations. I'm working with the fishing industry up in New England, And we're connecting for the first time in new ways, fishermen and scientists and funders and people in the industry experts, to collaborate to create new innovations in netgear so that the fishermen can do a much more efficient job of managing catches, and it's a win-win all the way around. But it takes these innovations. But the network weavers can be anybody. So these are people who are not voted in, they're not elected, and they're certainly not appointed. The qualifications of a network weaver is they have awareness of the network, they have credibility with people they connect, so they have to have that social capital. And it helps to have some imagination, to know how to connect two things together that previously weren't connected before.